Today we're going to go through the course documentation for the IC, inventory control, warehouse management impacts to production orders. The purpose of this course is to go through and illustrate how the system reacts when production orders are created, changed, canceled, reduced, and what have you. The audience for this would be an IC supervisor, a lead, and then scheduling. So let's get started. Just real quick, for those who are not familiar with warehouse management is bin level inventory tracking SAP module. It's used in our instance for our bags, ticks, and flyers, and BFP inventory. So basically, in our traditional SAP inventory managed location, we have a storage location where we manage inventory, and then we have a warehouse managed storage location, which requires us to put stuff in and out of the bin. So instead of managing it at the storage location level, we manage it at the bin level. When we're talking about production orders, and whether it's storage location managed or warehouse managed, it really comes down to the component and how the component is set up. In the illustration here, you'll see your storage location in your production orders. If your master data is set up correctly, the sourcing location and the determination should happen automatically and should always be correct, quite frankly. There are instances where we have things that could potentially try to pull out of the wrong location. So if we look at our production order and we see that it is a wrong location, we would have to go ahead and get that fixed. The way we do that is usually through a manipulation of the master data. If we have a material that shouldn't be sourced out of 40 but is, it's because it's extended to the warehouse 40, and we need to set a deletion indicator at the storage location level for that material, and then rerun our master data read function within our production order for it to redetermine all of this stuff. If it should be out of 40, out of 10, and it's not pulling out of the warehouse, then either the material is not set up for warehouse management or the storage location is not set up. In either case, you contact support for help if you had questions about that. Okay, so let's talk through production orders and pick order creation. Production orders are created and scheduled for production. At the time they're created, the source storage location is determined. You can see that back here. Okay. Once the production orders are ready, we release those for scheduling, all things that we do today. Okay. Now, when we get into a point where we're going to be warehouse managing some of these components, at the point of release, several things will happen that don't happen when you're just managing things in an inventory management location. A transfer requirement, remember that name, transfer requirement is created to identify the need to pick something for the warehouse. So what the system wants to do is to identify what it's needed. In our system setup, right now from IC, we traditionally only manage bags, ticks, flyers, and BFPs for warehouse management. If the bin stock is available, a transfer order is created, and it uses that transfer requirement to generate that transfer order. Okay, the successful transfer order creation will result in the transfer requirement being closed. If bin stock is not available, the transfer order will not be created. Okay, unsuccessful transfer orders will result in transfer requirements remaining open. Okay, it's important to understand. Open requirements are flagged as issues in the IC dashboard, and we'll go through that in a second. One of the changes you'll have to recognize when we get to the point of generating production orders and releasing them for production is that we should have an added check before we go ahead and print those orders. Once a day's orders are released, any pick issues from insufficient stock should be cleared before we print the orders. Now, could you print the orders that are successful and then wait for the others? You could. But if you wanted to print them in mass and all collectively together, you should check the status. The way we do that is a ZPOS transaction. Once we get everything cleared up, the pick sheets then can be printed. When we print our production orders, the packets will be the same as they always have, except you will have your WM pick list at the end. Okay? The pick lists are generated using CO4N as they are now, but the new packets are printed on the laser printer. They won't be printed on the 3-part paper printer, because that 3-part paper, 4-part paper doesn't support the healthy printing of barcodes on your second, third, and fourth sheets. Okay. Changes to production orders after they're released or sent to IC should be coordinated with scheduling, and we'll go through those conditions here in a second. Real quick with our illustration here, we have a production order, we have a bag, tick, and flyer here for 10 eaches. At release, SAP created a transfer requirement to recognize that we need 10 of these, and that's just a record to say, hey guys, we need something. The system just doesn't want to try to attempt a pick order, and if it doesn't work, it kind of falls into this area where nobody knows about it. So that's why we create a transfer requirement. So, sufficient bin inventory, pick orders generated, transfers closed. Insufficient bin inventory, pick orders aren't generated, and the TO remains open. Okay? On our dashboard, our pick status dashboard, if we are to run this and say we show everything for a certain scheduled date, and we can actually run it for a release date, we can look at all our orders. Okay? We track the print status. We also track the open transfer orders. Okay? If this is red for one of our orders, then we have a print issue, and that's something that IC should work through. So once we release all of our orders, and before we print them, we should check this report to make sure that all of the picks have printed. If we don't, packets will print as they do today, except there won't be a pick order, which could be a problem once it gets to IC. Okay? Here's our production order picking. I won't spend too much time on this, but essentially what happens is orders are generated, our picks get generated. Once the picks are confirmed, they get allocated to the production order, because this is where the back flushing for our warehouse managed components get backfilled. We won't just pull it randomly from a storage location 40 storage location. It will have to be allocated against a specific order for back flushing to work. For that to happen, a pick order has to be generated, and that pick order has to be picked. If the order isn't generated and the pick's not passed to IC, and IC doesn't systematically pick it, we're going to have a Koji error. And the back flushing at the order level is a lot more finite than issuing out at the storage location level. Okay? So, interactions between transfer requirements and transfer orders. For remember, 2 back, 3 back. Transfer requirements created first, then our transfer order. These are our pick orders. This is just a document the system creates to reflect that when we release the order, this is how many we needed. Okay? So, the creation of transfer requirement and transfer orders happen at the point of production release. Okay? That's where the system attempts to do it. Transfer requirements will be updated to reflect the changes in production orders as long as there's no transfer order created. Okay? Production order changes made for components that already have pick orders will not be updated if there's a transfer order. Okay? Transfer orders must be canceled before production orders changes can be made. Okay? So, here's some guidelines to go through. Change type. Change to an order before it's released. No impact. Any change can be made to any production order by scheduling before the order is released. Okay? This is a very important slide. If you like to hit pause and read through it, talk through it, generate conversation questions, feel free to always ask if you have a question. Change to an order that's not printed or sent to IC. So we have an order that's been released, but it hasn't been sent to IC. We can use transaction LT15 to cancel the pick order, and then we can make all the changes as we do here above. Okay? There is a web demo for transaction LT15, and you can also use transaction ZPOS to see the pick orders for a specific production order. Okay, so we would cancel the pick order, then make our changes. Okay, changes to orders are sent to IC. IC would make the call on how the orders would be pulled back. An increase to order would be handled on a case-by-case basis. If they haven't picked it, it's probably best that we just cancel those pick orders, up the order. It'll regenerate a pick. She can print the picks directly in IC, and we can proceed with the order. If the order's already been picked, she'd probably want to do the same thing. If she has an order that hasn't been picked, she may just want to cancel the order and proceed. So it'll be really how the department wants to proceed. But generally speaking, if the order hasn't been picked, she'll probably cancel it. So when we regenerate the pick order, there's one instead of one for every order change. Okay, the order's been picked, and there's an order change, then we would just generate a new pick. Okay, not canceling the pick orders before the production order changes will cause additional manual work for both departments. The only time we can't cancel a pick order is when it's already been picked. Okay. Do we have any questions? Feel free to contact support at pcf.com. Thank you.